Make sure this is all working. I can't tell if my audio is working. It might be out. Okay, sounds like it's working. Let me just double check the settings. Audio. I can't tell if my audio is working. It might be out. Okay, sounds like it's working. Let me just double check the settings. Yep, connect to the Yeti. And we just quickly copy and paste all this multiple times. I don't know if the link's actually different in that way for live streams. I'm still figuring that out, but I'm too lazy to check. Because I know the key is the same, so I'm wondering if you start live stream if it has the same URL. Wait, holy shit. Anyway, here's a reminder to watch Mob Psycho 100. Who's kumquats? Anyway, let me pull up the meme again. You gotta have the meme ready. Also posted new art. Here we go. In case you need context of the story, here it is. I'm gonna let this play for a moment before we start. Okay, I'll play that again at the end, but but I love that shitpost so much. But is anyway. now that we've done the ritual, we can actually read the story. Revision 15: The Giant and the Hungry. What is that? What is that? Sammy screams, and Eld, checkmate, Mantis stridulates back. So Sammy doesn't know what it is, but Mantis does, and Mantis is a part of the Pinnacle. So once again, still wondering if like it's common knowledge, if that's like the Pinnacle is more aware or something. It is indeed. The last surviving war. Well, Eld is interesting because it sounds like a shortening of Elder, which is not what I would think to call the Eldrazi. ELD could be just Eldrazi shortened. The last surviving war mechan has seized all three of them and now boosts them up the spinal shaft of Infinite Guidelines number 3 docking arm, away from the Seriema and the alien. That doesn't tell me anything. The thing passes after them. It makes a sound like a grate unzipping, like a train car shuttering down loose rails, like an icebreaker crashing through a pack of blood clots. The Meccans sawed at it with frontline pinnacle effectors, with beams of molecular precision and shaped charges of surpassing penetration. It could be harmed. The flesh was cut, the white bone blasted, but the thing rotates through strange dimensions, and now uncut flesh is there instead. This kind of reminds me if you've ever seen like those fourth dimensional shapes where it's like because it's like the hypothetical fourth dimensional shapes, and then you watch the video and it's just like a moving shape because it exists in the fourth dimension along the axis of like time too. Which gave me that vibe. And we do know, I'm not sure if this is about true about all the Eldrazi forms, but we know that Titans basically exist outside of the planes they're interacting with. Like they're usually like a hand reaching in and then like messing with like physical existence. Like they don't physically usually, unless you drag them there, they aren't like a physical thing that like exists with like their body's just kind of like a hand. It's equivalent of you reaching your hand into a pond, basically, is the metaphor Jace uses. Like your actual like like your entire body, like and brain or whatever, is the stuff outside the pond, and your hand is only like a small part of it. So, but I'm not sure how much of that always like has applied to like the other forms, like the extension, because we know the forms are extensions of the Titans, but I don't know I don't know if this is supposed to be part of a new Titan or if it's just like unique to this kind of form or whatever. The Meccans were reduced to graphs. It's old Tenuk grunts. Eld means it's old, dug up, like from inside Caveron. So Eld is like, presumably Eld probably stands for Elder and not Eldrazi. But also it assumes like Eldrazi aren't the only thing you'd refer to as Eld. It's like any like old like technology that would probably fuck some shit up. The broods of Eldrazi would closer to fingers. They aren't unique being only the Titans. Yeah, so like what I'm asking, I guess, is do the brood have the same properties in the fact, well, they're extensions of the Titans, so I guess like I guess my question is, okay, so the Titans exist outside of the plane, right? They're non-physical and they're reaching in, so that's like their physical body, and the broods are extensions of those physical bodies. So I was wondering if like the brood have the kind of like the same properties. The brood also exists outside the the physical form is sort of like a small part of them, or I guess they would be a part of the Titan. So I guess they should be a part of the Titan. Yes, old. Everything in Pinnacle space is too new, you understand? Too young. Space should have been dominated already, full of life, but instead we grew up in calm and lonely stars. Only once in a while we find something older, and the Drix come. That's a pretty interesting point. There's like that, what's that one paradox, like how we have not come in contact with life yet? Like, obviously it's like the theory that everything's dying before you can meet it. The Fermi paradox. So it's like the discrepancy between the lack of conclusive evidence of advanced extraterrestrial life and the apparently high likelihood of its existence. So it kind of seems like it's sort of like a take kind of like on the Fermi-esque paradox. They've already met at this point, but the point is like they should have encountered like intelligent life earlier. And I guess it's kind of like the Fermi paradox where like everything basically died before before all this shit came to be. Too young to. So it basically explains like we should have met some new life earlier. There should have our stuff already been here, but you got shit on. But instead we grew up in calm and lonely stars. Only once in a while we find something older, and the Drix come. So it seems like the Drix don't deal with just Eldrazi. It's just like weird old shit. Would be nice if they showed up now. Sammy howls. The wall of the shaft. Well, considering what the Drix in that last said in that last side story read. Hopefully they're not here for Tenuk. The wall of the shaft ahead of them turns to chalk. Another once again we're seeing that chalk. If you don't already know, I explained this. I'm not gonna go over this again because I explained it last time. But basically, when the Eldrazi eat mana, they leave behind like this chalky, like they leave like this chalky substance, like whatever they eat, whatever they suck the mana out of, just gets turned into like this weird chalk stuff. So if they when they were like eating lands of Zendikar they left behind like this chalky like landscape. Another alien erupts into their path. This one is different in aspect. Webs of bruise purple tissue over a long rigid head, bind together branching limbs. Sammy kens a shared logic between those webs and the graphs left behind by the thing chasing them. But then Sammy also realizes that it is about to devour them. The Meccan, bless its reflexes, immediately diverts. They zag out of the spinal shaft through a lateral process, out into a huge half-empty hangar. Emergency bulkhead slam shut behind them. Spotlights flicker on. At the center of the hangar, the hulk of a ship, not very different from the Seriema, drifts in a protective web. Pinnacle has either been retrofitting it or stripping it apart as a hazard to navigation. Bad omen, Sammy whispers. I see a reactor, Tanuk says. All the fusion drive components are in hot cells, but the fission power reactor is still intact. You want to make a weapon, Checkmate Mantis stridulates, as softly as she can, but our weapons don't work. Pretty easy to see why, Tanuk says, somewhere in his blessedly stable attention stack, evolved to keep thinking while Caveron's giants tumbled primordial cav underfoot. Tanuk has been analyzing the battle, isn't it? I don't have the autos for this, Checkmate Mantis admits. Nobody taught me monster killing, Sammy says. Yeah, me neither. But I do know basic engineering. Tanuk snaps his war claw open and shut. Every time our weapons hit those things, they cut it apart or blow through part of it. But most of it isn't there. It's somewhere else, buried in the lemonade. So yeah, the Eldrazi are wielded. They are wielded. So it seems like hold on, I'm gonna keep reading real quick. Buried in the lemonade. Maybe. How do we hit the rest of it when we can only see part of it? So it seems like this could be like the fact that Eldrazi kind of exists outside the plane, but it could also reference like the Chaos Wall and the Quiet Wall. It could be that the idea is that the Eldrazi are sort of like sandwich themselves into the Chaos Wall, because we see that we see Art of the Slivers doing that. We know the Slivers. We read the Legends articles. So we know the Slivers like exist in the Chaos Wall too, and they can like kind of cross over into the physical realm. So it could be that idea. Especially since we know that the edge seems like the edge of the multiverse. So if you interpret the Chaos Wall as maybe being the rest of the multiverse and like the Blind Eternities and stuff, then it would make sense that maybe that maybe the Eldrazi could be reaching out from the Blind Eternities slash the Chaos Wall. Burn it, Checkmate Mantis warbles. Poison it, a spreading acid, a chain reaction. Electrocute it, Sammy says, wondering about a 7 dozen electrocutions on the Siriema. Any of that might work. The emergency bulkhead crumbles. Tentacles curve out of the shaft behind them, probing into the hangar along invisible gradient of appetite. Time, Sammy says, finishing Tunuk's sentence. You know engineering, Checkmate Mantis says. I am more expendable. I will divert it. Go. No, Mantis! You're like the best character. You're like already like top 5 favorite characters here. And before either of them well, actually, I kept the main cast. The main cast are really killing it. I do love the main cast. Like Sammy, Tunuk, Halia, Afrael. That's like 4, right? Sammy, Tunuk, Afrael. Yeah, that's 4. We can make space for Mantis. And before either of them can protest, the mech can hurl Sammy and Tunuk at the ship hall. Pinnacle is under attack. The giant is gentle. It does not wield its weapons unless it must. It would prefer to gift, bribe, plead, bargain, cajole, and interdict, and coerce. But there's a scourge loose on the infinite guideline. There are holes shot through her immensity. Inchoate matter pumps through her spaces, and now boarding craft full of solar knights and Gravkill paladins fall upon her like viroids, shooting the rapids of enemy interception to shatter Guideline's great blue flanks and deliver their warlike passengers. They want the Siriema and control the Siriema's only way out, the Eternity Column. This is more than a giant can bear in peace. Guideline's main power may be gone, but its nerves may be snipped. But if there is one word you can apply to the giant, it is decentralized. All across the station, each on its own, technical corps personnel reach the same decision: release the violence delegates. From rookeries all around the infinite guideline, spikes of Arcjet lift mechans free. They race out to meet the warships of the two fates, bristling with effectors and spectral warfare antennae. Some are the size of pebbles, some are cutters, some are frigates. Gift for those who come ungifted. They go at the warships of the faiths, like castration scissors. Does castration have like any context outside of like using radiation surgery a drug? Interesting. I was like, does castration have any use outside of like cutting someone's testicles or like cutting someone's balls or like ovaries, or making so they can't and stuff like that. The target is the most vulnerable part of any warship, the radiators. Snip off the radiators and the heat of battle has nowhere to go but into the ship itself. This actually does make sense. So this is something I was thinking about earlier, but basically the thing about space is it's very cold, yes, but also it's a vacuum. And what that means is there's not a lot of place for like heat to like, how heat usually works is basically travels to like the matter and like material. Like, you know, how it works is that when stuff gets hot, it starts vibrating, and those vibrations get like passed off to like other molecules and stuff. So in space, even though it's really really cold, or there's no way for like the heat to transmit anywhere. So if you just have something like a ship, it's like basically a closed system of sorts. And what can end up happening is your ship gets really, really hot because it builds up heat because the heat actually has nowhere to go. It can't just go into space. So it can build up heat and cause it to overheat. So this is what the radiators are doing. Melt yourself or surrender. But it is no easy task to stop up a Sumus warship's recirculating fountains of molten metal or paint over its blazing massive panels. It is no simple task to kill a monolith warship singularity heat sinks, buried in armored magnetic cavities deeper than the hull. So warships recirculating paint fountains of molten metal or paint over its. The downside isn't here yet, so like the downside shows that they're fucked, right? And on Guideline itself, where there is no heat sink, no wick away violence, the war parties crash against each other. So I think I've already talked about this, the art of this card specifically. Lux Knight Breacher. It's been a while. I guess I'll talk about it. Lux Knight Breacher. 3 generic, 1 white for 4 mana total. Creature, Human Knight. This creature enters with a +1/+1 counter on it for each other creature and artifact you control. Only when a vessel is emptied of shallow ego may the depths of light flow in to fill it. Cephas, check, Sunstar Poet. So once again, this card wants you to play like with more creatures, so it represents that by showing more creatures. Here we have I should probably try my Night Shift. Helps. It's easier on my eyes. That's why I have it on most of the time. Yeah, once again the white gold color palette. That white usually has. We can interpret these as like monolith shots because they're like has the signature purple. It's very interesting here because this is like almost like this is really dark, like dark black, gray, or some sort of like maybe dark purple, but I think it's mostly dark gray with like some purple like blast here. And then suddenly our attention is brought to like this big bright opening, like it's really playing with the contrast of these colors here, like this big bright white light coming into this like opening, which grabs your attention, and even like the molten metal, like I think it's sort of like a highlight here. And it kind of shows like it's Lux Knight Breacher, so it kind of shows them like in shooting on the space. Like you can interpret this like this coloration as representative of a sort of like space, like monolith space, and then they're in shooting that space. Like they are of this space and they're stepping into this space. Like they're passing from one like metaphorical world into another. Which hence the name Breacher. Interesting they have like the glowing capes and stuff. And obviously, what's interesting is like all their faces are covered. Like usually in cards like creature cards like this, usually you like have a face to like sort of imprints on. But this is like, and it makes sense. I'm not saying they should have their face, but it's clearly this is for battle. But here it's almost like usually when this happens, it's like it's easy to like almost lose the person in the especially when you have multiple person like who's the main character here. But obviously this person's like in the front, they're the biggest. Everyone else, and what's interesting here is like even though I'm saying all this, these people are like more faded. They're like more like. They have like this filter of like the background, like kind of like grayish white over them. And this person, while they are white, they're much more stark and vibrant and have a higher saturation, so you can more clearly see them. And of course, here we have like again white, and it's light symbolism. It's all over the place. And obviously, the light also represents sort of like this bright area, like kind of flowing and like opening up into here. And this person stepping through with like their bright ass like light. I forget what they're called. They have a specific type of weapons, like bright spears. Is it? Or is it? I think it was Bright Spear or something. Here at last, the Sunstar Knights and the Monastery Gravkill Paladins who have ached for holy battle meet like hammers on the forge. There is a woman, a hero in the battle at Maledict, Sir Caitlin, who worships the brown dwarf aspect of the sun. There's different aspects. We're not gonna get any expansion on this, but that's interesting. I mean, we do see it like metaphorically, like when one of them talks, he metaphorically like compares it to like a sun, or at least some aspects of it. Although part of that seems to be from his home planet's culture. So. And a brown dwarf is obviously the stage of a star. It's humble. It's a failure, but steady in its failure. Failing now to keep ranks, she rushes ahead of her squires in Fodorfroy that charge the thinner. Best of the armor fatty, beloved of the monastery. Yeah. They go for each other in the gardens at the base of Third Dog, but the thinner's Maracho, Yamno, frenzied with will, comes between them, fast, close range. Modest Catalin. burns him through and through, hot spot to cold exit, and the beam kills his armor in one blow. Call it the event, for no Alabao stops it. Yamno tumbles on Heartless, and his armor rings against him. Then the thinner, Fate's armorer grips the tapped out Catalan in his tides. Fodorfroy caster lances at him, but his armor denies their weapons. Grav kill means gravity killer. I mean, it makes sense. But there's a simpler word for the place you're drawn to die, your grave. Call the thinner grave killer, for he kills foes before their time. All the garden rattles like a drum, beat by the gravid power of his grave. So once again, we're having like a bit of that like black philosophy idea explored, where it's very easy to maybe see as like the Monolith is like a maybe like a green faction or something, because you're like, oh, it's all about unavoiding death. But as Mark Rosader points out in one of his like Tumblr points, is that like the Monoliths are very more black blue in nature, in the sense that they're not just going to sit around and accept the death of the universe. They're going to accelerate it so that way they can start like a new one. And the idea that you can like interfere with nature or like make it better or change it somehow is very like black and blue, like the idea of free will. And here we have this idea of like maybe like a black aligned, like a black line faction having the means to basically like mess with fate or change fate or mess with it in a way to make someone die before their time, and instead of just accepting it. Because green's all about accepting the world for as it is and like not trying to change things. Just the only change it's okay with is like kind of natural change, like letting things change naturally instead of trying to force it. Seeing his knight at peril, young Isidore, is Isidore one of the characters we saw with Halia, I think? Catalan Squire, born to the craft of mirrors, it might not be. Born to the craft of mirrors, but chosen to reflect war's blood and sparks, closes to her side. His error, though it's from good instinct to stay by your knight, but his error, though it's from good instinct to stay by your knight, but the fist of fate grips all. As his mother once showed him how to polish the mirror fine, he's scraped but flat by the tides, flens out of his outer parts, stretched and severed. He's bent over an invisible orb and broken, and his screams go out to the walls. Once again, very brutal with the imagery in this set. In the story of this set. Magic's no stranger to obviously to violence, because it's basically like it's always about like when you're playing a card game, you're basically like basically playing as people fighting each other, but it's very particularly brutal. It gives me like a very like kind of like a sci-fi trope of like kind of seeing like how horrifying things are like on a mass scale. Well, I just need to take a second because I think I'm doing a bad job reading this. I just gotta lock in. It's like this all over Infinite Guideline. War, and you'd never know who's winning, but for one thing. Among the melee, a hunger out of space whirls and feeds. It feeds on Fodorfroy and Pinnacle Mechans. It feeds on Sunstar Knights and Armor Constables from Pinnacle's tactical cores. It feeds on fools who didn't heed the warning to evacuate, and friends who stayed to lend Pinnacle their aid. But it does not feed on Monoliths, not one. This hunger eats potential, the ability to become many things, and the Monoliths worship only one. If you are a clever giant, of course, you notice the pattern. If you have the time and the senses. So very weird way to describe that. Region 15, a better sum. Sometimes you screw up so badly, Sir Vondam says, that there is no fixing it, and you just have to mark your life before when I did all right, and afterward when I failed. You can't apologize. You can't make it right. You just have to live with your failure and try not to fail again. I should have killed you when you begged me to, but I didn't. I couldn't, and now we both have to live with it. That's my lesson, if you'll hear it. Afrail, Halia tries to say, get out of here. Get back to Siriema, use the stone. But all that comes out is, sir, we all have flaws, Sir Vondam says. Afrail tries to move, and Vondam, without looking, cuts the bulky elevated boots of his suit off. The cav armor just can't stand up to Vondam's radiance. The alloy falls off. The alloy fails instantly. The enormous high traction, low pressure foot pads snap off. Afrail tumbles forward against a console, flailing in zero gravity. His human toes protrude from the armor's amputated ankles. Stockinged and pathetic. We all have flaws, one of them repeats. We can choose to rise above them, but the curse of choice is that it also allows us to choose wrong. And that anathema, the Instone, it can find our worst choices. It can force them on us. And when it can't do that, when it needs us to be capable of even greater failure, it can find a weapon to hurt us, like you. It is you, isn't it? The one who put the hole through my brain? So that's an interesting view of the stone. And it's gonna be an interesting conflict because from Halia's perspective, the stone actually probably undid a choice she regrets. Like earlier, we see her kill Sammy and Tenuk, but the stone undoes that choice. So while the stone isn't working in your best interest, and I would not trust the stone, I would not overly rely on the stone for all your choices. To say that it only ever wants you to choose wrong or to fail is like, you could see a character go like, I disagree, and they'd probably have a point. Um, yeah, okay, he was one of Hylia's friends. The guy, bu- 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 Isidore was one of Hylia's friends from like one of the previous stories. He's talking to Afrael. Sir, Hylia manages. It wasn't your choice. It was mine. I took the instone away. It's not on you. Yes, that was your error, and it was my responsibility to kill you for it, which I failed to do because I let love outshine duty. Let one good thing come of that error, Squire. He opens one armored gauntlet to her. She can almost see the himsari banners wrapped around his skin beneath, the holy bandages, like the mummies they made in winter on her homeworld. Come back, he pleads. Oh, Wallace Helper, she wants to. You're the best squire I ever had. It's true, Captain Slats said he thought so. It's true, Captain Slats said he thought so. You would have been a better knight than me if I hadn't led you to the stone. If I hadn't let it take you. We've both failed. I failed when I let you go in my place, and because of this, because of the weakness that stone found in us, the stone has come here, to the very edge of escape. Thousands of the faithful, thousands of innocents are dying because of us. Hold yourself responsible. Come back to the faith. Sir, she can't say it. She can't say no. But she has to say no, doesn't she? She has to own and commit to her choice. She has to make her own. She has to make it her own. An inevitable result of her immutable identity. So we kind of have this conflict interesting because like this idea of like why it's like all about working with the group and thinking about the greater good of the group, and Halia is definitely still thinking about like doing the right thing. I think she's still very like a very white line character, but she goes from like white green to mono white, and I think this reflects it. Like white green is even more emphasized on like putting others first and like community in a sense because of how like white and green overlap, and this idea that he has Green's idea of like accepting the world for as it is, so there are things you can't change. But here we have this idea that like Alia's still white aligned, and maybe she still puts like the good of others before herself because she even says herself that she needs people to protect. But she's also kind of believing like she has maybe more of a choice, more of a say, more free will. Leaning a little away from like Green's idea that like you can't change or you shouldn't change certain things. Um, because if it's not her choice, if it's changeable, then it's the stones. Yeah, exactly. And so like she was definitely leaning like more towards the idea of like because white is allies with green. Like white does believe there are things you can't change, but white is also allies with blue, and blue is all about the idea that you have a choice, that you can change things, that you can make things better. There is love in her heart that cries out to go to him. Sir, she says, I understand why I had to do what I did. It's the sum. We talk about it like it's beyond her power, but sir, oh yes, yes, finally she can articulate it. Finally she knows what to say. The computation of the sum must include and anticipate our own choices. If I see that you choose to slaughter Cav in the name of greatening the sum, and I reward that with obedience and honor, I return the instone to the order, and I return the instone to the order so it can be vouchsafed to a coronal and taken away. I am altering the computation of the sum. I'm creating a path that leads to victory through thousands of dead Cav. So we have a very interesting take on the sum here, because we there's clearly more than one take on what the sum is by virtue of the fact that you have the Sumist, the Palatinate, and then but Mantis is a Sumist, but she seems to have a different take on the sum, or at least like slightly a different idea of what it might be, besides the fact that it's like an equation that calculates like the greatest good, than someone like the Palatinate. And here we're saying like how you're coming to our own like interpretation of what it means, like what the sum means. And the idea that sum is like changeable. But I do not believe that the sum should ever pass through thousands of dead innocents on its way to greatening. Also, once again, we're having this conflict between because Vondam is white black, but Halia is white green, and then also like mono white when we see her. So I think what we're also seeing is like a conflict of like ideals, where yes, they're both white aligned and they agree in that aspect, but at the same time, Sir Vonum is like more kind of like blacks, like any means necessary, and specifically one of the ways that white and black can manifest is this idea of like white goals through black means, which is like peace through like white's goal of like peace and like good and order, but like black's like idea of like any means necessary, the ends justify the means. But Halia lacks that black aspect to her identity, so she's like the ends do justify the means. You cannot just kill people or make like a bunch of mistakes and then keep on trucking, right? Like we're not doing that here. I do not believe the dawn's light ever burns the helpless and the small. So I must become the reason that the sum diminishes when you butcher thousands. I must modify the sum through my own choice. The sum will not greaten because your squire will revolt. That must be in the sum. Which is also an interesting point, is that like if the sum is really as perfect as you think it is, it's like this perfect calculation, then it would be in the sum. Which again makes me wonder, like, is there like a book somewhere that details the sum as like an equation? Like imagine the Bible is just like a long equation about what to do. I will not go home with the stone and be a hero. I love the faith, sir. I love the duty of the sum. I love you, but I will not let the free company find a path to their objective that goes through thousands of dead cab. So, also very interesting take is that this could have ended. It seems like it's leaning towards the idea that Halia is still a Sumist, but she seems like she's going like her own path with it, like her own interpretation of the religion. Because the easiest route this could take right now is this Halia is like, fuck it, I'm not doing religion anymore, right? It's like being disillusioned with religion. But here, Halia might not be disillusioned with the sum, more so disillusioned with the Palatine and the religion and the extremists, basically, with religious extremism. Um, Tongue, Vondem says, sir, make sure you're not biting your tongue, Vondem says, when I hit you. Oh. Aphra pushes off the wall. His armor may have no feet, but he uses the stumped legs to lunge at Vondem. Vondem steps into him. I gave you my mercy once. He's going to cut Aphra in half. She doesn't want to see a helpless man cut in half. She thrusts her long-handled blade eater. Okay, they're called blade eaters. This was thinking of earlier. From the hip and drives Sir Vondem off. Aphrael tumbles past him and crashes into the wall. Venom closes his helmet. Yeah, but like, are the squires like modified anyway? Because it seems like you're gonna get shit stomped if the knight is genetically modified with super suits and you at best just have a super suit. Squire Halia, his voice comes hard. For conduct I'm becoming a companion of the Sunstar, and for egregious derogation of the sun, by my authority as a knight of the company, I hereby degrade you. I darken the illumination that showed you the rank of squire. I delight you from my service and bar against you the path to knighthood. Remove your armor. The wound is beneath it. Remove the insignia of your service. They no longer signify. Surrender your weapon. It has wounded the faith. Do you understand me? So yeah. So basically, she's getting demoted because she hit a knight. Her pulse blasts in her ears. She hardly hears herself say, "Yes, sir, I understand you." He has cast her out of the free company. She has made it permissible for him to strike her with lethal force. And though her heart breaks for it, though her mind tells her it's futile, she makes a choice. If she was wrong to flee Cavron with the Endstone, then she threw her future away for nothing and caused this battle that is killing thousands for nothing. And she just cannot allow that to be true. She cannot live in that reality. She chooses to believe her choice was right, because if it was not, it would destroy her, which makes this choice right too. She strikes at her knight. So once again, that emphasis on like morality with the white alignment. Revision 15, 2 Reckonings. The monster goes after Checkmate Mantis and her combat mechan. It buys Sammy and Tunic maybe 20 seconds. Cable, Tunic shouts, I've got the reactor running. I have power. Now I need PTS main cable. Cable. There's no loose cable that Sammy can see. Someone packed this work site up too well. There are hot cells and stasis casks lashed to a scaffolding all around the hangar, and the tools and spares must be in those. One of them has to be a spare cable. So once again, I want to point out that like it's very easy to think of blue as like the technology color, but like any color can have like a technology bend or have characters that fall under its philosophy, but have like a strong affiliation for technology or knowledge of technology. Even red green characters like Tunic. I already explained that green's like a lot of people think of green as like the nature color, but it's kind of like an oversimplification in my eyes. Green's about like accepting the world for as it is, and sometimes it means accepting like artificial parts of it too. For example, on Capenna is just like one giant city, right? It's one big city, which is like a giant artificial construct. And I mean, they can attack with their swords 11 times a second. Yeah, I forgot about that actually. Wait, hold on. Where's the Megamind meme where they're screaming? Hold on. There's like some Megamind, like, showing you Woody Banner just fucking screaming. Is it this one? The knights POV, you're fighting a Sunstar Knight. There's this idea that green is like the nature color, which is kind of an oversimplification. Green's about accepting the world for as it is, and that can mean accepting like artificial parts of the world, just stuff that exists, like cities or whatever. Part of the reason that green leads so heavily to nature and magic, and like how it's represented by nature, is like the idea that like the natural state is like the default state of the world, basically. But it's important to remember that different characters may have different ideas of what the default state of the world is. And for example, like Beaver's building a dam, right? Is that most people would agree that that's a natural thing to do, right? No, even like most green people who identify like with green would not say like, oh, beavers, what they're doing is artificial, therefore you should destroy it because that goes against the natural order. That'd be a weird thing to say. So in that same way, you know, someone might see a certain green character might see like humans building stuff or like or interfacing with technologies. Maybe that's like a natural thing that humans do. Maybe in the same way beavers build dams, humans build stuff, build cities and stuff to live in. Uh, wait, I gotta find where they say the 11 times a second thing just so I can make this meme. Hold on, does it say it in the planner's guide? Let me check. Fuck, I'm gonna have to find that later. I'm gonna have to look for that. I need that quote. The monster goes after Checkmate Mantis and her combat mech. It buys Sammy and Tunuk maybe 30 seconds. Cable, Tunuk shouts. I've got the reactor running. I have power. Now I need PTS main cable. Cable. There's no loose cable that Sammy can see. Someone packed this work site up too well. There are hot cells and stasis casts lashed to scaffolding all around the hangar, and the tools and spares must be in those. One of them has to have spare cable. Sammy leaps from cell to cell on thrusters, opening and slamming shut containers full of neutron-rotted reactor shielding. A shadow grows over them, harsh edge in the hangar's floodlights. It is a graph of the war mechan's components, spread in 3 dimensions. The thing has eaten it. Checkmate Mantis is probably dead, or worse. It would be wrong for Sammy's first thought to be, she was beautiful. But let Sammy be wrong. Get ready, they scream. It's coming for us. I'm ready. I need a cable. The hot cells aren't worth searching. They're all full of radioactive metal. Sammy leaps for a stasis cask. According to its timer, it has been closed for more than 10 years. According to its label, it is contraband sealed, type unknown, marked for careful disposal. Sammy deactivates it and tears it open. Their headlamps illuminate the interior of the cask. A pair of green gold eyes shine back. Sammy's heart doesn't skip a beat. It leaps a whole measure. An orange and brown cat bristles and hunches into the back of the stasis cask. Her growl crosses the hangar's thin atmosphere as a faint whine. Her whiskers are white and long and very unwise. Miri? Sammy gasps? What a time to find that cat. It is. It's her. She's glossy, healthy, real. Oh, way. And ends. She hasn't aged a day. She was in a stasis cask. She walked away from the Seriema when she was startled and went to a ship that looked almost like the Seriema and landed in a stasis cask. Oh, that's why she never came back. She was frozen in time, and the ship ended up where nearly any private ship in Sothera would end up, getting an overhaul or tear down on guideline. But no one opened the cask because no one remembered what was inside. Yeah, you know, I wouldn't have opened that either because I'm like, you're gonna get blasted with radiation or something. She's all right. She's okay. She doesn't even know she's been away. She doesn't think Sammy abandoned her for years. Sammy reaches up to open their helmet. Miri tenses. Shh, Sammy whispers, "It's okay. It's me." The horrible clatter of the approaching thing rises. Miri yells and vanishes. Let's walk away. No, Sammy shrieks. No, no, no. Captain Tunnock barrels. She was right. She was here. She was right here. It's coming. Sobbing, Sammy leaps for the stasis cask. Maybe she'll be in this one. She's not. The cask isn't even active. You better help out Tandic there. He's a little bit of trouble. But it holds a coil of power transfer standard main cable in pristine condition. Got it. Sammy turns, hurls one end of the cable to Tunnock, then pins the other end against the wall of the cask and strikes away the connector with the antenna rapier. The superconducting core gleams with the promise of lightning. Sammy jams the rapier into the insulation fusion further down. Jams the rapier into the insulation further down the cable and lifts it like an enormous noodle on a chopstick. The back end of the stasis cask comes apart into puzzle pieces. Something white and hungry shines and the floodlights fill. The alien is here. Power on, Tunnock bellows. You've got current. Sammy doesn't scream. Instead, they point the rapier and thrust it straight down the center of the stasis cask until it strikes a plate of bone. Rapier pushes the steel cable ahead of it. Contact shorts the 2 bars of superconductor inside the cable, and current leaps between them. A spectacular buzz, a flash of fire. Power arcs through the things matter. It convulses in more dimensions, limbs rotating into existence and out again, grasping at things that aren't there. Huge throbbing sacs of purple webbing spasm and rupture, blue and red. Fire spreads in pale limbs along a shape that does not fit in Sammy's head. Tally ho! Tannock roars. The second creature hits him from the side. So, obviously, this is actually a very common appearance for Eldrazi. I specifically want to say of the one that was Sealed the Moon. I don't know how I'm forgetting her name. But Emrakul, kind of resembles Emrakul a little bit. Especially the webs, I think. Emrakul has a ton of that what kind of web design and the stuff they corrupt. Like you can even see it here, especially with like some of the blue and purple, like here. So my like I don't know if it's related to any specific Titan in particular, but if I had to guess, I'd probably assume like Emrakul, like multiple limbs, kind of like web with blue and red, like pink web type shit. Um, Tally ho, Venom says mildly. Nice cut. She hit him. He took it right in the chest, but it wasn't enough. The armor of a knight is proof against directed energy. Is proof against directed energy. It wouldn't be much armor otherwise, would it? If she wants to win, she will have to cut him open. She fires back. She whirls as he takes aim, puts a solid meter of pinnacle equipment and the reflector of her cloak between them, and still gets hit but survives. If he wants to win, maybe he will have to cut her open. He comes at her. They fight as they have fought on the sparring floor. That's the worst part. It's no different. There's no vengeful force or cold hatred to Vodam's shearing attack. He still loves her. She still loves him. He takes the linear roll straight at her. Knife attacks usually lead with the empty hand to grab and control, but Sir Vodam has no empty hands. If he gets in range, he will stab her 11 times a second. Oh, here it is. His median performance in training until his armor gives. I'm saving this shit. Saving this. Put that in Jarvis, put that in my reference folder. Don't worry about it. I wouldn't consider it a spoiler. I thought it was like a fun fact. Alia should take a contralinear role, using her polearm to keep the range open, to fend him as he tries to close. But she knows she will lose that fight. It will keep her alive because a less powerful fighter can buy time by giving ground, but it will not lead to victory. Eventually, he'll corner her. She never beat him honestly. Of course, she couldn't. He is decades her senior and a veteran of real battle. He's a killer. But he always told her, anyone can lose a fight. A fight isn't a monotonic test of power. A fight is an event, a complexity. Fight it 10 times and 13 things happen. This feels like a... I feel like some power scales need to hear this. Just because a character loses a fight doesn't mean they go lower on the power scaling tier list, okay? Fights can be complicated. A fight is like life. The only way to know what will happen is to fight it. That's why I love a fight, Halia. Actually, I'm gonna grab this because this was funny. She chooses a circular fight. Blade Eater out and sweeping. Reflective Cloak whirring, sideways like a crab. But the damn control deck is laid out like a grid. All lines of approach and retreat. It's good ground for Vondam. I can't kill you, Vondam bellows. Carbon crystals split from eviscerated machines as he sweeps the space between them clear. Carbon crystals, I assume those are like data crystals, probably. Carbon crystals. You know it, I know it, but I only need to give you a survivable wound. I survived the hole in my brain, Squire. Can you survive a lot of holes in your armor like this? Holes, yes, holes. Thank you for the idea, sir, she shouts back. She retreats down the aisle to another cluster of pinnacle control stacks. She flashes her armor's emitters. Sparks explode from metal all around her, so you can see herself as she sees her. As he sees her. A small beloved shape in silver and gray, lost in a field of pyrotechnics. Her armor reports a battle on another plane as her emitters clash with Vondam's, trying to cancel out each other's power, to create hotspots that jam or degrade the enemy's sensors. Her flash cost her that battle. She's losing emitters, losing the invisible war. Her armor's surface crackles with capacitance, surely. The ability of a component to collect and store energy in the form of electrical charge. The grounds and the heels of her boots discharged into the station with every step. She breathed. You can't fight too hard and fast. For the sake of your body and your armor's limited power and heat capacity, you have to pace yourself. Nobody believes it, but a long fight really is cerebral. That is actually kind of weirdly true in real life. Is that people? I think a lot of people have like a weird sometimes I can have a skewed idea of how long a fight actually takes. Like most fights are actually very short, and fights are actually very, very extremely tiring to maintain for even like a short while. Um, but he presses. He sets the pace. She retreats toward Afrael. He won't be able to intervene. Irvondam grunts, lashing out on each syllable. I have a constant track on him. Look elsewhere. She has reach. She can fend him back with her polearm. If she attacks the space he's entering, so kill him now. He's defenseless. I'm still a knight. That didn't stop you at Turo Duen, sir. He disengages for a moment, just long enough to say it. I had to. Protocol dictated it. The purpose of the anathematics protocol for the Endstone is to make every knight in that situation behave exactly the same way, so the stone can't swap a zealous knight for a merciful one. So once again, I think this is like a bit of like white philosophy here, like the idea of like order and structure, and the idea of like maybe sometimes stripping away a bit of individuality for the sake of like an idealized greater good, or like good of the group, like because if everyone acts the same, it's like a more controlled variable. So it wasn't you who chose to slaughter them, she says, Quip stepping back and toward Afrael. The Sum chose it. I would have chosen it too if I were a good knight. He has answered the question she came here to ask. The fall is not in him or in her. It is in the Sum. You're working toward him. Why? Vondam comes back at her. He can't kill me this time. But Afrael has the hole in his hand. Vondam doesn't know about the hole. But how could she get him close to Vondam close enough to use it? His pulse trains can saw through anything in the compartment except her. Put yourself between the innocent and danger, Halia. She slashes through a superconducting battery and flashes her emitters again. The discharge sets metal afire. Pinnacle emergency systems spray blobs of foam as she leaps and fires her thrusters. A tunnel of burning foam marks Vondam's fire. But the foam stokes up enough energy to save her armor minus her main conformal antenna. She lands between Vondam and Afrael. Afrael clutches like a beast in his half-ruined armor. I get it, he says. Go. Vondam leaps after her at bone-warping speed. She stays between him and Afrael as he blasts her, a full pulse train from both emitters, burning through her cloak and her arm vambrace as she tries to cover her weakened chest. She smells hot glass, like metal in her throat. Then he's on her. The first 9 stabs hit in less than a second. There is no time for thought, just a shrimped-up defensive curl to put her shoulders and helm in the way. No, her neck. He will cut through her neck. After leaps into her from behind, as Cav armor's massive, and he crushes her against Vondam. She loses her breath. So once again, we have like Halia, like maybe having her selfless nature, but maybe to a fault, like self-sacrificial. Not to say it doesn't make sense here, but Vondam can't get a weapon at Afrael's head or spine. Halia's in the way. He still disarms Afrael. His right blade blows out Afrael's left shoulder actuator. His left blade tucked under Halia's armpit saws off the Cav armor's right cutting claw, exposing Afrael's bare right hand. Afrael reaches around Halia and grips Sir Vondam by the back of the neck. Sir Vondam's suit irradiates Afrael's hand with a burst of microwaves. Afrael screams and flinches. Poor Afrael with these fucking microwaves. He can't catch a break. He's getting cooked, bro. Every story's getting cooked. His hand blisters and burns from within, but he presses the sizzling flesh to the back of Vondam's neck. As Sir Vondam's blades punch into her failing armor, Halia embraces him and jabs her right thumb into the hole in Afrael's head, through the hole into the back of Vondam's neck. She digs her thumb into his vertebrae and pops them apart. Jesus Christ! But also a bit of like symbolism here because she's embracing him. It's basically a hug. Because she says earlier they still love each other, so basically like she's sort of hugging him is the maneuver. The second alien smashes into Tunnock from the side. He goes down through an inrushing fountain of alien flesh, constantly swallowing itself. Web purple tentacles lash at the half-disassembled ship, converting structure into a white lattice of plates and cracked cables. Tan! Sammy screams and lunges rapier first into the alien maw. Tunnock roars and cuts. His huge work claws scissor through alien gore. The thing is unmoved. It draws the injured tissue away into its higher dimensional body, rotates into place new flesh. The new flesh is burning. The alien keeps rotating, swallowing itself into newness, but the quicker it turns on the orthogonal lathe, the more it comes apart. Ash, dust, blasted ribbons. It rotates apart like the trunks of a tree, obliterated, leaving all the branches to scatter. Sammy's lunge crashes Sammy's lunch crashes into the fusion reactor housing beside Tan. Are you right? Are you all right? How did you? Wasn't me. Then you must wash. A voice says. They look up together. So this is like one of the Drix. I assume the Drix that showed up was the same one we saw in the short story, but here's a different Drix being used to represent them. Webstalker Ardent. 2 generic, 1 red for 3 mana total. Creature, Drix Artificer. Whenever the creature or artifact you control enters, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. Warp, red. You may cast this card from your hand for its warp. Well, we know how warp works. But obviously all the Drix have warp to represent their ability to web walk. Here we have Drix Ardent, and whenever another creature or artifact you control enters, it deals 1 damage to each artifact. So we know that so you could see this as maybe like the Drix protecting certain artifacts or creatures, flavor-wise. And here we have them left walking. It's almost like these are like, it's kind of hard to tell, but it's almost like these are almost like two. This is like more like weapons coming at them, but almost like 2 environments here. Where like it's like this red, like fiery looking, looks more like space, I guess, but like this red sort of like celestial environment, and then here, like around here, we have this like a more like a more planet side environment, with rocks and stuff. This Drix has a kind of like a snout. I don't think the other Drix have snouts. Not really. I mean, they have like this one has a beard, but they're just interesting. Could be a mask, but and very mystical. Like the eyes glowing sometimes used to add like an effect of like different Drix. Yeah, I assume it's a different Drix, but they don't have. I assume they don't have art for the character. Oh wait. Oh, you mean in the story? Oh yeah, it's a different Drix. Okay. Anyway, there's something especially you see your like I think Mark was talking about like Jason's design. So that's what they do is they give characters like glowing eyes. Like Jason needs to make him look like more mysterious because you know there's like the same eyes are windows to the soul, and like one of the things they can give away like pupils in your irises where they're pointing at their dilator or not can tell like a lot about like someone's emotional state. So by covering the eyes like this, by making them like white or glow or like whatever or bluish like this, it can make them like it can make a character seem more mysterious or potentially even menacing depending on how you want to play it. Because you can't really, it's hard to tell what they're thinking. And it's very interesting that this is being used like to light up the character here. There's basically like no background here. Like it's just like kind of like lines and rock. A slender bipedal figure in a gray silk wrap and an armor of woven reed stands on the hangar ceiling. It has arms, a head, and a face. Split down the center by a line of blue light. It holds a staff. On the end of the staff there is nothing. Your destined potential matter, the biped says. It could be anything. It could be anywhere. You must wash it away or you will attract the Eld. Did you, Tenuk says, swatting at a drifting chunk of alien. Did you do that? Save me? On the end of the staff, the creature says, is a 30-meter wide black body divergence in the ultraviolet range. It has been rotated into lamellar space through the stem of the Eld, through the stem of where the Eld dwells. Thus I strike at my prey. I am called Tumulus or Barrow. I am Sentinel at Cofferdam. I just want to double check. You said that wasn't the same person, but I just want to double check. But so basically what they're doing is they're striking at a where the Eldrazi actually exists. Not the same not the same guy, but weirdly does mention Tenuk. Oh, that's weird. Or Barrow. I'm a sentinel at Cofferdam. A Drix, Sammy breathes. Goosebumps prickle at their wrists. Temulus or Barrow, please. Do you love cats? No, the Drix says. They attract predators. I have saved the beautiful insect and delivered her to her post. Now I must hunt. Okay, the beautiful insect, that's Mantis. Now I must hunt. Please spread the word to your fellow kinds that they must wash away the potential matter. How do we wash it? But the Drix makes a motion like a drawing in the air, and the space unseams itself, wraps around the Drix, closes again. Barrow is gone. Oh, Sammy breathes. Oh, Tan, no, we can't leave. Why? Miri's still here. She's here on Infinite Guideline. She wept walked again. And Drix said, "Cats draw predators." Captain. Well, I mean, they could have just been more mundane predators, but I mean, if they can weft walk, that I guess it wouldn't be impossible for them to attract like stuff like Eldrazi and like slivers and stuff. Tenet grabs a handful of PTS cables and throws it at Sammy. Take hold. Come to me. Miri's safe. She's safe. She's not safe. They're eating this place. They're going to eat her. Captain, take hold of the rope. Tan, aren't you listening? We have to get out there now. We have to check every single stasis cask in this hangar, and then we have to find a directory of every stowage in the station, and we have to open all the casks, every single one until we find her, and then we have to keep her calm and safe until we can get her back to Siriema, and then we have to make sure she's never scared again. So she doesn't. Running out of time here, Captain Sammy, you're having a Captain Sammy, you're having a panic attack. Tennick, aren't you listening? He wraps his arms around Sammy. He draws them away from the skeletal ship, this dead ship. I am listening, Tennick says. I can't decide what to do next. I need you to do it for me. Are we going back to the Siriema to finish the job for the Metalman? We're going to look for Miri. It's your choice. It's not a choice at all. They're going to look for Miri, wherever she went. She'd go to a safe place. She'd go on a ship that looks like the Siriema, and maybe, by some feline instinct, she knows the stasis casks are the safest place. It's not a choice at all, because both choices lead to the same place. Sammy grips Tennick's helmet. I know what to do, Tan. I know what to do. Yeah, check the Siriema, probably. Vondam could still control his armor through his nerve interface, but his squire reaches through the hole in her enemy's hand and cuts her knight's nerve interface away. She's not crying. She's not afraid. She finds she only wants to carry this out swiftly as she can and go. Now Vondam is helpless. He's only human. All his germline modifications and recombinant augments, so he would get another acknowledgement of their modifications, can't save him from the need for a spinal column. Maybe he wishes now that he replaces nerves with Inca glass, so he could think with light. So this might imply that maybe different knights have different levels of modification. I've made my report, she tells him. I cannot serve the sum because I believe the sum is wrongly calculated. Therefore, I must lessen the sum, so that in seeking to greaten itself, it will amend its calculations to show mercy. I also ask pardon for Afrael. He chose to turn away from Inavita and shall be granted a new life. Kill me, he says. Vondam, she says. No, sir, I can't. So this also shows that also they're linked to their suits, which is another common sci-fi trope, is being mentally linked to your suit. Even you see this with Pacific Rim. I know they're not people. I know they're not people-sized suits, but Pacific Rim, giant mech suits, and Warhammer, the Space Marines are connected to their suits using various points. It's a very common trope. Vondam, she says, no, sir, you know I can't. You will try to escape with the end zone. Our fleet will destroy your ship, and if that fails, the fleet will destroy Infinite Guideline. The sum demands I stop you before that can happen. And the only thing you can do now, she says, is demand that I kill you, so that maybe I will stumble on my love for you and hesitate. No, I must be destroyed, Hylia. I have failed because the end stone still moves me. I am Anstreth. I am not who I was. I am a curse. I will lessen the sum. I cannot bear it. Kill me, Hylia. She lifts Afrael off her and raises to her feet, stares down at the battered, beloved face. He was so good to her. It had so much left to teach, but the teaching was interrupted by another lesson. She cannot do what the sum asks. Holy shit, my dad made cinnamon rolls. Fuck. Wait, hold on, I'll be right back. My dad made cinnamon rolls. I'm sorry, hold on. You would pause for set 2 if you know how good these cinnamon rolls were. Bup. Anything that you can actually... There's my latest story. You can look at that. I'm gonna go eat my cinnamon rolls. Actually, can I change the color of this font? Best thing I can do. Figure it out later. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. I just brought them up here because they were very big. Let's hear about another lesson. She cannot do what the sum asks. She cannot kill her way to a better tomorrow. If there's a drowning man between her and the best destiny of the cosmos, she cannot swim past him. So earlier I was talking about like the color alignment of Halia and Vonem where they differ, and some of the ways that black white philosophy can manifest. And it's important to point out that even though black and white can be more selfish or malicious, Sir Vonem, his idea of like the justify the means also extends to himself in that he's willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good. He's not just sacrificing other people. Although there are probably like maybe like different white black characters that may like just focus on sacrificing others to get what they want. But here we have Servodum. He's willing to sacrifice himself and others. So if there's a drowning man between her and the best destiny of the cosmos, she cannot swim past him. She must help him back to shore. Though it means turning back and never making the crossing. The shattered sparking ruin of the control deck slowly floods with emergency foam. It hardens on Vonem's armor like meringue. What? It's got food, right? Good candy. A meringue, I guess. Let him live, Afrael pants. He's badly burned, and it has his blood up. You don't want to kill him. It's obvious. So don't. You, Vonem, it's better if you live. Vonem's eyes flick to him. Why? Don't be a hypocrite, Afrael says. You just said it. You can't make it right, so you live with your failure and try not to fail again. Go throw yourself before the cab and let them execute you. Or go sun yourself into a raisin. I don't care. Quiet, Hollow Man. I'm not speaking to you. Why? Why do you need so desperately to leave the system? Is it because we succeed? Is that it? Anathema? We will relight there, and you can't survive the radiance. Is that why you had to call Afrael to you and flee? Afrael rolls his eyes. You think you can talk to the rock? Fine. Rock, here. We are going to feed everything in Sothera to the super void and concatenate it with Point Prime, and it'll be reborn into the next eternity. It's inevitable. So I'm moving to the new stars to see them turn into cenotaphs to the glory of him who falls. There, happy? So I think Afro's just saying this just to get him to shut up. He's basically telling him what he thinks he wants him to hear. Afro lifts his limbs into the pinnacle emergency foam, trying to seal it back up for the return to the Siriema. We have to go, he says. I need the instant to guess the coast of the warp fairies. Are you coming, Halia? Are you going to stay there and play martyr? No, she says. I'll go. I made my report and begged your pardon. I've been cast out of the free company, but I'm still a sumist. I placed myself on errantry, sir. So once again, we have it would have been easy for the archers to go like, oh, she disillusioned the religion, and now Halia's not religious, but here we have the idea that like Halia is so religious, she just doesn't believe like it. She's just disillusioned with the palisade specifically, and the and like maybe like, and it seems kind of like over as we learn about the palisade and monos, they seem kind of like extremist. It seems like there are people who maybe believe like in the monos and palisade faith who maybe aren't as extreme or more casual about it. Sorry, I'm chewing. It's all right, Willem says, still smiling a little. I like it. I like it when you call me sir. Always did. Made me feel worth it. Oh, child, what did we do? How did we let this happen? Sir, she says, unable to break the habit of respect. It wasn't the income. You just shouldn't have murdered all this cab. That's it. That's all. I couldn't abide it. I won't see you again, sir. You will, Willem says sadly. You're my responsibility, Halia, even as my failure. It's definitely going to be someone who's recurring if we ever visit this plane again. But I'm going to be hunting her down. She cannot bear to watch him watching her. She flees. Revision 16. Exile target ship. Sammy and Tenek almost make it home free, but there's a huge armored form drifting outside the Siriema's hatch. A hull wrapped in a tissue of black metal, highlighted by purple veins of condensed events. That's Alabile, the war metal of the Monoists. Is that the leech that we were talking about earlier? The worship of Inavita have taken the Siriema. Sammy tries to break and cover. Instead, they plunge straight into the armored figure. It has become the center of space and time. This is the grace of gravity. The armor rumbles. Okay, so I think it's like one of their grav kill paladins or something. A single purple eye tracks Sammy from the center of its head. Gravity is the gift of purpose. A free path through space feels like nothing. Feels like nothing. Effortlessly, you speed to your fate. And when you are close enough to fate, time and space changes places. Going down becomes the same as passing time. The absence of effort. The geodesic of... That's my ship, Sammy snarls, and gets the antenna rapier up. So once again, we have this... I think this is where, like, a bit like the black faction... Like, part of the faction comes up. Like, this conflict with green is this idea that, like... Because I think what's being explained is the idea that in the same way as like time and space can become warped, you can basically change it. You can warp your fate. You can change your fate. So like if you become close enough to your fate, you can like mess with time and space and then change it. That's my ship, Sammy snarls, and gets the antenna rapier up. They stab the Monos right in the chest. The event of the collision becomes a flicker of purple light and drifts off around the curve of the armor. The Endstone is aboard, the Grafkill Paladin says. You will aid Aphrael of Sukundi. You will allow the stone to guide you to its purpose. It is the will of Inavita. It does not matter if you understand. We do see like some like Grafkill Paladins. I just wonder if there's like a specific card like. Well, here we have Grafkill. We do see some like monolith armor though, which I assume to be Grafkill Paladins. I mean, I think it's a vampire. I think they're actually just naturally big. Maybe something like that. I mean, it's still vampire, but also big armor. Probably gives you an idea of how big, how bulky that guy probably looks like. There's also Warforged Titan, which is like an artifact, but the Void Forge lack formal programming with a mecha. Instead, they're engineered to move in accordance with the hymn of the mortal fallen. Now Sammy feels rude. Stabbing is no way to make an introduction. You're letting me go? The Endstone has come here to the Eternity Column. If it wishes to go to the Eternity Column, then it will, and we will aid it. So you send all these ships, all these warriors, those things, the things that made those, Tenek roars, pointing to the obscene grabs stretching in space. The space squid with the appetite for everything. You'd think the hulking armor couldn't shrug, but the metal... but the metal layer like Delaney is surprisingly flexible. They have not troubled me. If they destroy the enemies of Inavita, then they are in accordance with the will of Inavita. It will be hard to comply with the will of Inavita while under assault by the Sunstar. The generalist rumbling voice chuckled. Sunstar, a word so good to use it twice. We should be the void holes, huh? Do not call yourself the void holes. I guess the sun is a star, so it's like calling yourself star. Bro, so what's that like fucking... Bro just said... But I'm thinking of the other one. It's this one. He just said... Why'd you kill everyone? So we can just go aboard, Sammy asked? Yes, but I will accompany you. We already have Aphrael. I look forward to speaking to the Blessed One. His twin has plummeted. I would just let him on because I think Tezzeret can take him, to be honest. His twin has plummeted, but he remains. This is an omen. The huge form emits a long thump that stretches Sammy's bones. So once again, we have like this earlier they compared Halia and Aphrael to like hawking particles and like being paired together. But here we see someone comparing Aphrael to sisters, sort of like in that same vein. Not like literally just saying, oh, they're like hawking particles, but kind of like the idea of like they're a pair that should like basically collide or like annihilate each other if they don't. The huge form emits a long thumb that stretches Sammy's bones. I have alerted the faithful that Sariema will fly now. You can be sure of our protection. I have earned the war name. Sorry, eating cinnamon roll. Armor flashes violet, jets of energy sputter from its seams, trapped events crackling back into reality. Releasing years, decades of battle, shrapnel energy beams crack and whine in all directions as Alabao collapse. Holy shit! The monolith manages to lash out one side its murderer. The tidal growler tears a fist-sized hole through Infinite Guidelines Hall and on both walls of the docking umbilical cord. But its real target, struck in the chest, doesn't so much move. The Graphic Paladin collapses into a crumpled ball like crushed foil. Tunic and Sammy stare in horror. Oh, yeah, Tezzeret, yeah. Tezzeret. Because Tezzeret can control metal. That's why I said they should just let him on, because Tezzeret's soul is that guy, because he's just in a giant metal suit. But also it seems like the, well, I should say they, because we don't know the gender. But also kind of seems like that was basically like their life support system. Like that suit was basically the only thing keeping them alive by like putting out things that should have killed them like decades ago. Come aboard, Tezzeret says from the docking umbilical to the Siriema. The holes in the wall flow together and seal. There are others coming. I employed you to bring me the Endstone's maker. I employed you to bring me to the Endstone's maker, Captain. I'm not taking new passengers. You just, that was a grab kill, Paladin. It would have been less trouble with the Solar Knight, but the two apostates handled themselves. Tezzeret gestures. Sammy's armor reports nothing, no field or interference. So once again, Tezzeret mentioned earlier that like this, like the Edge seems to have like a rudimentary understanding of magic. So here we have this idea that like the magic that other planes may use, or like magic that Tezzeret uses, for example, is just kind of beyond this plane's understanding. Like this magic is just not like, they're very advanced technology, but this comes at the downside. Like they're not as advanced with magic. No field influence, but the crushed ball of Alabal drifts into Tezzeret's outstretched arms. You have such fascinating machines here, Tezzeret murmurs, but they still answer to me. All right, buddy. Aphra and Halia fly back to the Siriema under the terrifying scrutiny of warships. Their suits strain and blister under the sheer heat of probing sensors. Both sides of the war are watching the Siriema, waiting for any sign of activity. Any report that their forces have boarded it and made it secure. Tiny white puffs ahead of them and two cheerful running lights draw Avrael's eyes. A pinnacle warp ferry maneuvers like a friendly ship to grapple with the Siriema's prow. I still can't believe you guessed the code, Halia says, breaking her long silence. Inavita provides, Avrael says, which is probably not wise because Halia is the one with the thrusters and she could throw him into space. Yeah, maybe shut the fuck up. I love this duo though. They're so fucking funny. Some Free Company warship decides that the warp ferry is an unacceptable risk of escape. Targeting later bites into the Siriema. The raster of the beam specks its hull with black pixels. Then everything freezes. Looking up, down, all around, Avrael finds the battle slow to a crawl. The stars are burning brighter than he's ever seen. Paintbrush strokes of energetic violence cover the void. I'm wondering if they look brighter because like it's messing with like time and how fast things move, but like light is still like, kind of like moving at light speed or something, so it's like compounding. Because earlier we were told about like the one of the stasis cast, and they like kind of modify it so like light and heat can just build up in the cast and burn everything, but that seems like a much smaller scale than whatever's happening here, so maybe not the same. What's this? Halia calls through her grip around his waist. She's steering his hulked armor with her thrusters, but struggling. Vonem hit her quite badly. Tactical Event Horizon, he releases a Cherazad. The Monoliths must have sent an innovator to protect us. We have time to hook up the ferry and go. Oh, Halia says, don't you people want the Endstone? Why would they help us go? Don't look a gift horse in the ass, Halia. What? She pushes him into the Siriema's dorsal airlock. It cycles him through and he struggles out of the cab armor. He rushes to the hole before she's even behind him. The only reason he could have guessed that warp ferries cook correctly is that he used the Endstone. But he hasn't used the Endstone yet. What happens if he can't get it out of stasis and use it? Will there be a paradox? Will he be suspended in eternal error, cast out of the eternities as an orphan from the flow of time? He finds Captain Sammy fidgeting beside the active stasis cask. I am glad to see you, they gasp, throwing their arms around Avrael. Avrael hugs them back, quite unsure what made Sammy so glad to see them. Ted's up in the cockpit ready to fly. We got to get this open. Yes, I need to use the stone. Yes, I know. You do? To figure out our course once we make it into warp. Yes, Avrael says, but also to decrypt the warp ferry. But you've done that. But I won't have done it unless I do now. So timey-wimey shit. Never mind, let's open it up. Sammy triggers a stasis cast release and throws himself down on all fours. They look pathetically hopeful. The stasis cast deactivates. The mirror barrier vanishes. The Endstone waits. Afro reaches for it like it's a box full of everything he loves. In the dark behind it, a tiny voice says, "Yeah." Oh, yeah. Sammy tries to say something, but all that comes out is a sob. A cat trots out of the dark. It sniffs skeptically at Avrael and crashes headfirst into Sammy's outstretched hand. When Sammy doesn't move, the cat rises on its hind legs, butts face against Sammy's, makes a sound a bit like a duck with its tail feathers stepped on, and begins to lick Sammy's forehead. When Sammy tries to move, the cat shouts, "Yeah," and grabs at Sammy's head with one paw, as if to hold them in place. Presumably, Sammy doesn't smell like the cat out doesn't smell like the cat at all. This will probably require a lot of licking to fix. Really loving the cats. Really like let the cat lovers write the story. Sorry, eating cinnamon bun. The instant brushes April's fingers as to say, wishes do come true. Well, you still won't get the ship repaired without me, Tezzeret says from behind April's ass. Don't consider yourself released. Sammy doesn't seem to hear. Sammy is sobbing with joy. Tezzeret taps Afriel on the shoulder. His touch is heavy and frigid. Use this. He drops a reading rag beside Afriel. He's already called up the map up there. The man learns. First, I have to make my guess correct. What guess? The code to release the warp fairy. Tezzeret cuffs him, light enough to smash him into the wall of the cast. I told you the code. Would we have come all this way to steal warp fairy without the code? Without the code to use it? Now use the map. I will not treat you roughly again. Here, take it. Afriel blinks away stars to find Tezzeret offering a finger-sized crystal. You want me to drop that? Yes, Tezzeret says. It's a reminder of things forgotten. Give it back when you're done. The crystal oh, my nose, you can see again. The crystal projects light when Afriel touches it. It pinpoints that might be stars. It touches it. Pinpoints that might be stars or sun or the tips of ocean waves. Afraid that it might be some sort of radiation urchin. Sorry, that's someone came in my room. Afriel tumbles it onto the map of Sothera. It bounces twice and settles on the very edge of the reading rag, and the solar system too. We fly that way. I think someone opened my door and left. We fly that way. We warp that way. It's listed tells us we've reached its goal. Tezzeret claps happily on the shoulder, throwing him to the floor. We will see what god or monster made this thing, and I will decide whether it is to be fled, bargained with, or overthrown. Turning the stasis cast back on might be maybe the hardest thing Sammy has ever done, but Miri will be safe there until there's time to find some proper food. Yeah, probably smart, because especially if the cat gets scared and walks again. Time to let her explore the ship, reestablish her set, observe the newcomers from safe places, and feel at home again. Also, like, what's like the litter box situation like in Zero Gravity? Because we know that there's been situations where they've been in this ship, there's been no gravity. Like, what if you have like a dog or like an animal that like poops in like zero gravity? That seems very. I'm sure they have like some like super like suction cat litter or something. They slam down into the captain's chair beside Tunuk, wiping tears away. Good things, Tunuk. Good things. I have the ship. You have the ship. We are done with the departure prep. Separation in 30. Your switches are set for. Tag jumps in the council. Column interface maneuver. They've never done this before, but Sammy has the checklist memorized anyway. The ferry will do all the hard work. Issuing maneuver commands to the Sirius jets. And tickle with column's wedge of laminar topology and writing it redways into warp. The warp ferry transmits an error. What? Sammy cries. Timestamp error. No pingback from the column. We're in Sherazad. Halia comes trampling into the cockpit on armored feet. A what? A tactical blasphemy. A fast time bubble. Can't you see it? I love how even though like she's like no longer part of the Palton, she still has some of like those biases, you can tell. Like tactical blasphemy. So underhanded. The sky is frozen, so that's why nobody has laid the pieces just for clearing moorings. But we can't take the column unless we're in the safe time frame. The clocks won't align. We can't leave the bubble. The Free Company fleet will kill us the moment we prepare to warp. So close to the end, and yet Sammy can't see a way. We're under fire, Tunuk roars. Hotspots and penetration spackle the ship's display. Solar Ninth outside, Halia calls. They're leaping from the dock. We're being boarded. Not now, not with Miri back. Sammy growls and switches the Archx to manual. They do the hands dance quick and sure. With a jumpy thruster fire, they jerk the Sirium free of the mooring. Apply thrust. Forward, straight for the center of the infinite guideline. Faster, faster, until there is no possibility they can break in time. Collision is guaranteed. Time to play chicken with a stationary object. The Sirium bursts out of Sherazad. Timestamp error clears. The warp fairy communicates with infinite guideline. In a few lines of diagnostic text, Sammy reads: the column is closed to outbound traffic. Sync request rejected. Near field lidar warning. Imminent collision. Emergency collision alert. The Sirium's ESM The Sirium's ESM block detects us targeting lidar of ship-to-ship lasers imaging their hull. The vice system aboard the warp fairy and infinite guideline search the decision space, looking for any option over a collision. And then Sammy wins the game of chicken. I guess it's chicken with the ship itself, because it's gonna like warp if it sees that as the only way to not crash. Because there is only one there's only one option. Only one way to get the Serum clear before smashing the infinite guideline or explodes under laser fire and smashes into infinite guideline. The only option is to give Sammy what they want. The column opens. The speck of laminar geometry within meshes with the Warp Fairy's Eternity drive, like a virus penetrating a cell. Keys meet lock. Eternity opens. The Serum falls. Red word into the warp. So word is a very, very interesting word here because we know about the red shift effect, which is like a real life phenomenon. But they describe they know the chaos wall exists because of the red shift, and they jump into they're jumping into the chaos wall basically because that's partially how the warp works in this plane. I don't believe red word's like a word. I think it's just describing the fact that okay, well, thank you for the racist Squidward. Revision 16, final revision. Afterward, when wounds are tended, armor stripped, weapons stowed, bruises prodded, radiation doses assessed and recorded, luxurious 0G baths taken, bruises prodded, stasis cast briefly unsealed, they gather in the Sarium's galley. Even Tezzeret appears. Sammy thinks he may be playing with the wreckages of the Monos armor he crushed. When he comes over from his black Urshan ship, he doesn't use the airlock. He just opens a hole in the hull. It feels like an unofficial flex, but like, dude, the fucking door, man. Serum flies on its repaired fusion drive, soaring through the superstructure of warp. There's gravity to set a table. Sammy brews and pours the freeze-dried coffee they've been saving for special occasions. Coffee addiction is a serious vice, but this is a great day, so it's allowable. Tezzeret offers a toast. Where I come from, there are elder dragons, only unholy machines and sphinxes with metal to surpass man. I assume Esper. The thing is, Bolas is not from Alara, so I mean, I guess he wouldn't be wrong because like if Bolas is there, I guess technically that means he's Elder Dragon, but like unholy machines and sphinxes and metal to surpass man sounds like Esper specifically of the Alara shard. Elder Dragon sounds like Bolas, which he's not native to Alara, but they all sought to master me, but I survived. Why? He thumps his chest. The spark in here, the fire possibility and what fuels it, the unknown becoming known. You discover what you do not have, and you take it. We have taken a piece of the unknown. So very interesting, getting a bit like Tezzeret's philosophy, and also like a bit of reference to his past of like of him realizing like basically the sham conspiracy that is like the government of Esper and like their relation to Ethereum, and then here we have like he's currently colorless, but I think he's mostly mechanical because he's mostly an artifact now. But he like usually he's depicted as like blue black. So here we have this idea of like Black's idea of like gaining power, getting control over your life by gathering power, but also like a bit of blue, like this idea of like, you know, if you want to gain power, blue acknowledges power, right? And black is like takes a bit more literally. So we have this like black blue character is like all about getting power, getting whatever it takes to stay ahead, and then like a bit of like blue philosophy of like discover what you don't know, try to learn as much as you can. You know, knowledge is power kind of ideal. Everyone stares at him. You've done well, he offers, all of you. Is this the first time Tezzeret's like ever complimented someone? He seems like he's been very like relative. Like for Tezzeret standards, he's been very happy in the story. I was not expecting, but it makes sense. Have we? Helia asked from Sammy's left. Pinnacle attack. Thousands are dead. The dead chose their fight, Tezzeret says. Except the cab and the Pinnacle crew killed in the fighting. Sammy as table host must deflect this brewing argument. Have you ever seen this view before, my lord? Stop calling that guy lord. Sammy calls up an exterior camera view of the warp. The enormous geometries of Lemonade, attic and cellar of the edge reach to infinity around them, like towering cities of shape built by the intersection of fields and geometry on different lamina. Okay, how do you pronounce this? Actually, lamina on different lamina. Down through the clouds of topological heaven. There is no light here, but the Eternity Column's beacon radiates through the geometry here, and spectral renders it as warm color. You fly through warp the same way you fly through space, but you don't get to the same places. They're headed toward the edge of Sothera, the worm wall. This direction has been bothering Sammy. They have a sense of what they have done once now. Bring it out, Sammy says. Afro drops the instone on the table. Helia stiffens. Tenek reels back, overturning his chair. Mary curls up on Sammy's lap, raises her head, and goes back to sleep. Cat vibes. Is this disrupting my nap? No? Alright, back to sleep. We're waiting for it to do something, Sam explained. April's the one it likes, so I let him handle it. Halia sticks a finger in her cup of coffee, connecting herself to the heat bath, trying to use it as a kind of statistical ward. Aren't you worried it's possessing you, making you do things, altering your choices? I haven't done a single thing out of my character my entire life. Sammy says. It's changed, Afriel says. Look, it's gone fully egg. The stone has lost its glistening facets. It is now a gleamingly black ovoid. It rolls on its side around the table and settles itself, pointing it to Tezzeret. He grins like a hungry dog. What's your deal anyway? Helia asked him. Far away, Tezzeret kneels as if to look the stone in the eye. I have an interest in metals, a kinship with them. When I washed ashore in your strange reality, I made it my task to learn all your metals and their arts. Sigma caught my interest. A world rich with ores, but not with miners. Was it an opportunity overlooked or a threat? Where metal gathers, sometimes danger grows. Then Menon showed me. I mean, I guess it makes sense because a lot of weapons are going to be made of metal, whether they be advanced or rudimentary. He reaches out one claw middle finger, almost touches the stone. Does not. Menon taught me languages in exchange for my help, pursuing the anomalies that fascinated them. So I guess like the first time we've really seen language reference to magic in this way. Typically, how magic works is they kind of don't really touch the language thing for the most part. It's just you kind of just assume everyone's speaking the same language just because it leads to more convenient storytelling. And it's a lot just neater than having to explain like why everyone speaks the same language or like having to have like an entire like story like about someone a story like revolving around each person, like a person learning a new language every time we land on a different plane. But here's the first time we hear like the Edge is the first plane I think we've heard where they clearly have like multiple languages that aren't like just like common. And this is the first time like we see kind of Tezzeret having like learned, or like a planeswalker generally having learned something besides common. Although I believe Jace might have also learned languages by reading minds at some point. But usually it's not something that you see that's referred to in Magic. Like if there is language, it's usually like separate from the main language, and enough people speak the main language that's not an issue anyway. Menon and I agree that Sigma was an anomaly, so I began to plan an expedition. And do you know what I realized then? Do you know Sammy? Sammy takes a long draw of coffee. That I was the very best at the job. That I was weak, suspiciously weak. That my organization lacked specialists in the recovery and handling of artifacts. A mistake I would not make. So how could I have made it? You didn't, Afriel guessed. You sent them to Sigma and they vanished, as if I'd never employed them at all. But why? If the Endstone wanted to leave Sothera, because I was not yet en route for the Endstone to leave Sothera. I realized that with whatever power dwelt in Sothera, I had the power to redact my own attempts to retrieve it. It could also redact my knowledge of it. Yet it had not. Why? So again, Tezzeret's usually like blue, black, and alignment. So here we have a little bit of blue, like knowledge being important, especially since we know Tezzeret is probably afraid of losing his knowledge because he's literally been like mind wiped like once or twice. Once by Jace, maybe by Bolas. He had to work for Bolas to get his memories back. But so so this is part of the reason that Tezzeret like is so about like a bit of like Tezzeret's history informing like his color philosophy about like why he's so all about knowledge, why it's so important to him. And here we have the idea of like why he's so like gung ho about figuring out whoever made the Endstone and trying to like make sure they're not a threat. Because basically he's saying like, oh, the Endstone is fucking with me, and if whoever made this Endstone is way too powerful, I am not dealing with it. I do not want to deal with another Bolas or some other fucking. Look up Gravica Paladin. Hold on. It might be. Well, there's Grav Kill. Hold on. Maybe it's in could be in flavor text, but we're gonna check the art. Why did I put it in artist? I thought that said art. Okay, we'll check flavor text first. There is Grav Kill. It could be. Hold on. Maybe it's in one of these. Weird snow person. Or not snow person, cloud person. I doubt there's Grav Kill. Yeah, I doubt there's Grav Kill token. Also more tokens. What plane was that from? Check it out later. Champion artifact creature. Maybe Theros. All I see is Grab Kill. Maybe they have I'm not sure they have the Edge, or at least I don't know what they go at what's going by here. I guess it'd be a knight. I guess I'm not thinking correctly. Maybe. Nope. Okay, we'll look for that later. I want something from you, Tenant growls, so you sent us. It wants something from me, so you sent us. Yes, I chose the most desperate disposable pawns in my employ. So also like kind of puts the fact that Tezzeret has like just pulling some strings. Like they might have already been like under his influence basically in some way, or like whoever they were working for previously, or they're like in his territory or something. You can send in button. Yes, I chose the most desperate disposable pawns in my employ. High praises, I guess. That's kind of. Sometimes I wonder why he tells them certain things besides like gloating and being a dick. It's like, do they really even know you're the most disposable? So they could not succeed except by the favor of the thing hidden in Sigma. So basically, he made it so that there was no way they could see without the stone's influence. The stone would have to like tip things in its favor, and I had to make it my genuine intention to bring that thing once it was in my possession wherever it wanted to go. That's been bothering me, Sammy says. They throw a rag on the table, their course drawn in rough warp to world mapping, as a green line across Sothera. I thought this course looked familiar, but I thought this course looked familiar. Out into the garden of Aperion, where all the cosmic gas that Sothera is sucking in collides with itself and heats up. And then if you cross it, you end up in the wormwall. Uh-oh, Tenok says. Uh-oh. What's uh-oh? Halia demands. Ten leans over the map. His horn hair is wrapped in cloth. After I left Caveron, I wanted to die. So I worked, search, and rescue in the outer system. We flew out of a station in the garden. Our worst calls were for ships lost in the wormwall. One day we responded to the loss of a scientific expedition, trying to communicate with the creatures that lived there. That's where I met Captain Sammy on the wreck of the Worm Speaker. I think I already talked about this art before, but Wormwall Sweeper. So that's why they're using the art, because it's a ship related to the wormwall. Colorless, too generic. When the spacecraft enters surveil 2, flying to 2. So I mean, it's a very simple card flippantly. It's that it enters surveils because it's like looking for information and checking stuff out for information. It's reflected by this like it's like a silver ship. Obviously it's colorless, so it's very silver, but the background is kind of blue and like purple, and it has these spotlights. And it's clear that we're like actually on some sort of ground. I think it's the super void over there, but it's clear that we're like on actually ground level. Like we might even be hiding. These are slivers actually. I think those might be slivers. We're on the ground. Maybe we're a sliver thing, and we're looking at this thing like swarping the wormwall. So there might also be an implication here in this card that there might be slivers in the wormwall. But also very simple art. It's like this thing you can tell this thing is like the focus, because whatever these are, whether they be plants or slivers, they're in black. There's like no detailing. But here we have like this thing literally like with the speaker of light coming down to highlight it. It's silver. It's got glowing lights. It's bright, and then we have like beams coming down from sweeping the ground looking for stuff. And that's where we're headed, Halia cries. No, we're headed somewhere light minutes away. Yeah, Sammy says. That was years ago. The wreck had time to move on its orbit. They marked the wreck of the Worm Speaker on the map. Assume a circular orbit around Cythera, and by now it's here. They dragged the wreck forward around the wormwall until across the green line of Siriama's course. What are you saying, Aphrodite demands? We're going to a wrecked science ship? No, Tezzeret says. They are saying we are going to the place that killed it. How long do we have until arrival? Sammy sees stars. They sit up and grip the table. A terrible silence is taken in the Siriama. The engine, Tenok says. The engine's out. Can't be. We have gravity. Stone. A proximity alarm wails from the cockpit. The view of the warp outside reverts to an emergency display, cutting off the view of something closing around the Siriama like a hand. Ah, Tezzeret says. Here it comes. Then something turns slowly on the table. Stars gather before Sammy's eyes. Distant galaxies, pulsars whirling in a polarized vacuum. The cosmos split open right in the middle of the Siriama's galley. A beautiful a beautiful creature steps through. I think I'm gonna keep reading first before I check out the art, just so we have a better idea of what we're doing. Um, its face is a green mask filled with oxides of eons. It has lips, eyes, a nose, a brow, but its ears are whirled knives above empty cheeks. Kind of like elf ears. I don't think it is an elf, but it just reminds me. Um, Behind its face is nothing but pale light. Sammy's mind finds it primarily satisfying, like a mold from which humans were pressed. Like a better shape, leaves as metal wrapped around slender arms, broad shoulders, a perfect chest, a waist so narrow it simply disappears. It is not gendered, but it contains all the charms Sammy finds in the gender. Wedges of leaves. I know Sammy's been like seeing like a lot of beautiful people today. Wedges of leaves gather beneath a tall diamond cotton plate that suggests nothing except for some ancient arrows, some long-time connection to flesh and reproduction. Okay, this is like the first time they reference like I think explicitly reference sex too. Um, as canon in Magic the Gathering, which has diminished into an aesthetic or an abstraction. If it had once known beauty as a signal of fitness, like any animal might, now it knows beauty as a sign of likeness to itself. It has no genitalia. It's really weird reading this in Magic stories, really going ham on like, does this thing have a vagina or a dick? Because it does not need to reproduce because it is finished. It is the end. It is final and complete. That is very poetic, though. Aphriel grabs the endstone. It buzzes in his hand like a wasp. He cries out and drops it. The figure translates beside him. The endstone falls into his hand. A figure cups Aphriel's face. He screams. A voice sounds, though the face does not move. Touched by the core. Blessed. Aphriel drops like his mind has taken flight. Halia lunges. Without her armor's power supply, her blade is only a molecule fine cutting edge. The impressionless thing reaches out to catch her. Halia's blade goes through two of its fingers. The other finger on its hand fastens to Halia's throat and crush. She falls, tearing at her neck, making an awful sound. Tezzeret lunges to catch the severed fingers. You smell of aether, so like an aetherborn? But maybe not quite. You smell of aether, the voice says. Never mind. She's saying something else smells of aether. It reaches out with its cut hand, to Tezzeret's chest. Above his heart, I guess it smells of aether because that would be his planeswalker spark. Because we know planeswalker sparks, I think, are partially, if not made of aether of some sort. Above his possibly absent heart, nothing happens. It makes a soft, curious noise. You tasted the wall, the chaos wall, I assume. Tanner puts his claws up, faking surrender. Sammy lifts a hand. Hello? Who are you? Is this stone yours? With their other hand, they reach over Miri, who is trembling. Claws locked into Sammy's trousers and draw their antenna rapier beneath the table. I am the last thing the beautiful android says. The way it pronounces that single sound. I is full of dreaded love. So it comes to me. So I guess, is that the plan? Is like, if he touches this quote unquote last thing, has control over like a lot of different destinies, all converging to a point. Sammy glances at Tezzeret. No sign of a plan. This thing can be cut by Blade Eater. A single transmission from the rapier might kill it. But where? The head? Not here, it says, looking directly at Sammy. Not now, but the serpent needs a hero. Find me if you can. Put your lance through my heart. You'll come to nothing in the end. Sammy jerks the rapier to bear on the android's chest, but Stars Nebula close before it, and it is gone, just gone. The ensign with it. Tezzeret's mission is complete. The ensign has been delivered. He has his glimpse of higher power. Sammy leaps up, tumbling Miri onto the deck, and rushes to Halia. Her throat is crushed. It's treatable, but she needs air now. Tanak, get her to a bunk. He's out, Tan reports, leaving Aphriel. You, Tezzeret, help him. The Memon stares at the two fingers he caught in the claw. They seem delicate, almost insubstantial. Their severed ends flicker with violet light. He looks up at Sammy and smiles carnivorously. So you do have something like a planeswalker. He touches the tip of one of the severed fingers with a curled claw. Pale purple light leaks from it like ichor. Pale purple light. Tezzeret stares into it and inhales deeply. That was very aspirational, he says. Don't you think? Sammy doesn't know what to say. To that, Miri is staring wide-eyed at the place where the cosmos split open. Sammy picks her up, holds her close just for a moment. They need to go help Tan with Halia. But Miri is here. Miri is still here. One thing is all right. Interesting. Well, I don't know about what that person was, but here we have the art. It's a Broly division. It's very simple. It has like all the people of the main cast. Halia's kind of cut off there, but I mean, you can only fit so many things onto like a card like this. But here it's very clear. It very clearly shows like here's like all the main characters. It's very interesting, showing like this weird like purple effect around them, and then also like this person just coming through like a sci-fi portal out into like literally a space, coming and grabbing the end stone. And the end stone once again resembles a super void. It has like that sort of like gravity, like photon disk kind of effect around it. Um, Obviously the card's black. You know, the card's black line, and there is sort of like a lot of like shading, dark shading in certain areas, but also um purple, like a lot of purple. Like they wanted to let you know it's black cards. They use a lot of purple, and it's clear that like this thing. I'm not saying this thing is necessarily black line, but it could have connection to black mana in some way because not only is the thing purple, but like also the portal's purple, and the weird field is putting up around everyone is also purple. Here we have coffee being knocked over. Voice, temporal intervention, 2 generic, one black. I would have assumed that a card called temporal intervention would have been blue. I'm not saying it should be. It's just like, you know how blue is with time. Void. The spell costs 2 less to cast if the non-permanent left the battlefield this turn, or if a spell is warped this turn. Target opponent reveals their hand. You just choose a non-land target. Non-land card from that player discards that card. I will not end any other way than this. It will not end any other way than this. So this is a very interesting take on representing a temporal intervention outside of just like weird timey-wimey skip your end step stuff, in the sense that in this case the void, it cares about void because obviously when this event occurs they're in web travel and they get knocked out of the warp, so that this thing can come and grab it. So it cares about things leaving the battlefield because ideally, like, if you warp something, it would be in the warps, then it can come and interfere. And then in this case, temporal intervention. The intervention is that you can make an opponent reveal their hand, and you can discard. Then you can discard a spell, which basically means you can take it and make them get rid of it before they have a chance to cast that spell. You can like intervene on the chance to catch the spell. I love the Sammy face here. I love Sammy so much. This is like one of the best, I think, best stories of Magic. Like I've read in a bit. Like I find most Magic stories to be good, at least the short stories. But like they were cooking, bro. And I think that's all the Edge of Eternity stuff. Until the next set comes out, I'll either just read my own articles or I will read maybe like I know some like article came out about the blue on the color pie. Maybe I'll read that, or I might just like go through the art of the Edge of Eternity set. But for now, I'm just gonna play like a little bit of Magic Arena. I'm gonna hop off and probably play Rivals, which I would assume my computer could handle it, but it could not. I'll probably take a break from Magic and probably play like a game or something. Yeah, I got some dailies to do. Let's play our Rakdos burn deck. I'll probably just play like 2 games, and if I don't get any dailies done by the first game, I'm probably just gonna play like my zombies deck or something. Okay, we'll start with Barbarian Ring, I think, and then we'll cast Monastery So Spear. Just insta swing. He's kind of just think cast that turn when I have Splash. Pay tunes to Blood Crypt, maybe? Or I will pay tunes to Blood Crypt. Sure. Swing. I'll probably block something. I'll probably block the one on the right. Oh, okay, so both through. Grixis, maybe. We'll play this now so we get the mana. Transformation Chandler. Swing. Block or kill something. Okay, fatal push. We just wanted to activate our Screw the Critics. I think maybe we save the other Screw the Critics just in case, for next turn, in case it do something. Because he's mostly Dark Steel. Wait, hold on, back up. Sorry. What's the context for the I mean, he's mostly Dark Steel, but I meant like the coloration. Well, wait, back up. What was that about the? I think he means the multiverse in general. What was that comment for? I need to figure out like how to turn off the delay on my stream. I think I can do it. I just haven't thought about doing it. I should do it. I think I can turn off the delay on stream, so it'd probably be very helpful. Thank you. Sure. Do we just swing with both? And I think he means the multiverse in general. Let me pull the story back up. I'm gonna see if I can find what's being referred to. Surveil. Sure. They're loading that we just want to try to kill him now, so we keep up the night. Okay. Uh I don't know. Yeah, I guess we'll cast this. Anyone good game? Are we dead? 3, 6. Might be dead. Street Thief. Well, it's only a good game if I can get something good. Yeah, Corey Steelcutter. Just do tag, grab, kill, Fallon. Alrighty. Tag. Good. I don't know if that should all be one word, probably. Oh, whoops. All one word. Still not pulling up anything. Well, hold on, we'll do that in a second. Let me shut on this thieving Raven. Okay, it's actually not bad. We just killed him, I think. Yeah, so bump in the night. Bye. Okay, that was... I think we do want to run Stone of Eric, probably. We could just go on removal. Because we could just grab Searing Blood, Molten Collapse, Stone of Eric. Take a couple of these. Should have at least a couple of these. Could take Pyroclasm, but might not be a guarantee you get to cast that. Make sure I spell it right. Grav, kill, Pelin. If I just search it, will something come up? Grav still Paladin's kind of funny. Well, I mean, there's that one person. Is Grab Blade heavy? Which might be a grab kill thing. It's worth killing that just to just swing in for free. I think it is. Probably not realistically, but we just go. That thing, no one attacks. Or another rogue enters. Well, at least we're not getting milled as much. Okay, fair enough. Red monster so spear. If we had a third land, I would probably try to cast Red Horde, but I'm thinking we just punch for face. Avar. I mean, we might just get milled anyway, but like I kind of need the land. Me. It's probably gonna get milled, but target pump is your choice. Maybe not. Maybe we don't want to do that. Wait, Avar? What's Avar? Sorry, you're gonna treat me like I'm a baby for a second. What's the context for Avar? Hold on. I'm very bad unless you give me very specific instructions. Oh, it puts -1/-1 counters. Jesus. Okay, my bad. We might need to cut Dread Arcanist after this because I don't think they're gonna let us play that. But even. Hmm. God damn it! This actually would have been either one of those would have been good to have. Everyone in VS knows its own creature type. We'll take it. It will die once the prowess goes away anyway, so. Oh, fuck. Yeah, I forgot. What's the power? Oh my god. Oh, the serpent. You're talking about the fucking serpent. Oh my god. On the fucking world tree. Holy shit. Wait a minute. Cooking, maybe? When they're talking about the serpent. Or no, wait, Avar. Never mind. I think the old. I think they're buying on the old cards. Yeah, the one with the Avar, who were the techno people who had built super internet that destroyed, fucked with reality. That people in the short story. Oh, so you think she's Avar? You think the lady from the who built the end stone, or we don't even know if she built the end stone. The lady who showed up at the end. You think she's an Avar nature? I mean, that would make a lot of sense. Okay, we might be a bit of trouble. Okay, well, they're clearly going very hard into graveyard hate, so why did I... Maybe I should have conceded there, but... We might cut a couple Dreadhorde Arcanists to put in, We could put in Rolling Vortex, but I don't know if that's a good idea. We can put in Quarry Steel Cutter. I think realistically we put in Skullcrack, so we try to kill the Planeswalker next time we see it. Maybe we want to put in some Quarry Steel Cutters. So the Vara sent it into one being. Okay, that would make sense. That could be an interesting take on it if they do decide to make a black alignment. That could be an interesting take on black alignment and becoming one big. But also like okay, that makes more sense. And so it also makes sense since we know the VAR kind of sitting like their own little like weird like internet techno lamina place. So it could be that they sit kind of like not in either. They sit outside both the chaos wall and the physical realm, and that's where she's coming from. And that would also explain the the weird genital like fixation. Like I think the author was trying to emphasize that whatever she was, she used to be like an organic being, but now she's not. So that would make the most sense. But I guess the question then is like, what if the Avar, if that's even a Avar, but or like what you said, an Avar ascended into one being, and like what's their goal right now? What are they trying to do? That's Corey Steelcutter. So are they trying to like cast out the Eldrazi like once and for all, or what? Big skull crack. Both have trample. That's nasty. We might be able to win next turn if we don't get shit on. Soaring Thought Thief. Okay, one collapse, Soaring Thought Thief. We don't really care so much about these because these have left toughness. We do care a little bit, but I'm thinking we just try to just plow through. Yep. They. Sorry, my bad. They. Right, we didn't get their pronouns either. And I assume if they are merging at one person, they probably would not abide by a traditional idea of pronouns for the most part, if not just the. Okay, we'll play a good old zombie deck. But I still, it's kind of curious that they chose binding the old gods for this. I'm wondering. I guess the binding maybe is combine them all into one thing, or maybe binding themselves to their little dimension or whatever. Nothing to cast. We will pay to play Undead Augur. Conceal Courtyard. Swing. If they try to kill it, I think, well, I should have played Phyrexian Tower maybe because then I can sack it if they do something. I don't even have anything to cast for 3. Phyrexian Tower. Keep on swinging. I guess the most assumptive goal you can make is this gate deck. The most assumptive goal you can make is that maybe the Avar want to get rid of the Eldrazi once and for all or something, but I'm not sure if that 100% tracks their behavior so far, but I wouldn't be like completely surprised. I just sacked that because that thing's we can't swing that thing anyway. I just don't see the point. You. I think, well, that's colorless, so surely we can just pay like 2 and then bring back Undead Augur to proc that again, right? Because that's Convoke too. No? Okay, we need to pay 1. Wait, so what was the serpent metaphor then? Hold on. They made something about a serpent. Now the serpent needs a hero. I will. Oh shit! They killed all our stuff. Okay, we play Last Tap Reaver because we want to tap like this. So that way we can play Last Tap Reaver. Because that makes an extra token that we can then sack the Phyrexian Tower, so we'll be up by 1. Then we can Convoke and grab a bunch of shit. And we'll be up by 1 mana. Because we got a 2 for 1. And this. They have a board wipe. We're kind of fucked though. All right, give me my cards then. Okay, Dagger Clocks. It's not bad. If it's bigger than whatever they're. How many gates they need? You control 10 or more gates. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we gotta win like the next couple turns. If we don't fucking kill ourselves. Wayward Servant. I think we're gonna try to avoid playing more Undead Augur. I think it's just a terrible idea. The next turn we can just cast like a massive Return to the Ranks, maybe. By you. You. Okay, we don't need like Destiny lands, right? The random portal. It's the chosen type in addition to its other types. How many gates you got? Fuck me. Okay. We think we just gotta go for it. How much mana do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can just grab multiple Wayward Serpents though now. Fuck. 3. You. It might be enough to kill him because that's like 3. Multiply that. I think we cut Dark Salvation because they could have ran like the ram, the Gatebreaker ram, but I think we just want destruction and then maybe like a Thoughtseize or something. Yeah. Maybe Vanishing Version isn't the best because they could have multicolor stuff, but I think most of the like big hitting stuff is actually kind of monocolor in that deck. Actually, you know what? I should put in Feed the Swarm. That would have been smarter. If they play that like one statue artifact thing, probably want to Feed the Swarm. Black. Jamie the Parish. I should have played Thoughtseize. Actually, we'll play that top Reaver and just go in since they're not killing us this second. Ideally, we can get Champion of the Parish so big that they can't kill it with burn down the gates or whatever it is. Gates ablaze. Spelunking. Yeah. I probably should have cast Thoughtseize by now, but I think we just go in. And then next we can cast Crypt Breaker for maybe some card draw, and then Thoughtseize to slow him down a little bit. That is a land. Huh. Okay, I think we want to get rid of Farewell, probably. I know we also probably want to get rid of this because it lets them play an extra land, but I'm more afraid that we get skip board wipe. I think right now our biggest threat is actually the board, because we might just be able to kill them. I'll swing and then I'll sack for this because it's only one. I'll play this. Our stuff might get board wiped. If it does, we're kind of screwed, but luckily that you're not. Okay, they had Doomscar. I should have seen that coming. Okay, hear me out. We hit planes though. We win easy. They're kind of on the back foot right now because they don't have their win con, and they kind of gotta stop me before they take like a punch to the face. Oh my god. Game, if you want to give me my white mana source, that'd be great. This is an evil ass fucking deck. What the hell? Okay, we'll take it. They probably board wipe though, but 4. Whoops. I only have three targets available to me. Okay, well if they board wipe, we just use Crypt Breaker to draw something. I think I will cut Vanishing Verse. Great. Alright, yeah, take your win. I hope you're proud. Or do you not have 10? 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 10 now, but you didn't. Well, I think that's game. I was wondering, have you seen the new Arena Championships? I have not. I don't really watch the championships. I've seen some competitive Magic. I just don't watch a ton of it. Would you recommend it? Should I watch it? Maybe just one with Liliana. If they're playing slow, then we might be able to cut a Return to the Ranks for. Return to the Ranks is like our deck is kind of built around it, but at the same time, if they're like countering that so hard anyway, we maybe just take a Thoughtseize. Got the Shrine. Play Champion of the Perished. Actually, I think we want to play Lockwind Thirst because that we can decide what mana source we want it to be later. Corpse Knight. We gotta move in fast. I think we want to just try to get in like Corpse Knight and try to like make a bunch of stuff. Maybe I should put in that card that makes a token that exiles something. Oh boy. See, I'm kind of conflicted because on one hand, I probably should put black, but we might need the extra mana source for Return to the Ranks. Okay. Ideally, they don't kill this immediately, and we can maybe pull something here. Block. You don't block the 3/3. Interesting. Spelunking. Thoughtseize. What you got? Exile Artifact, Manifest Dread. Artifact enchantment. Am I not? Have I played any artifacts enchantments within the exile? It's kind of weird to keep in your deck. Anyway, they're probably going to board wipe the next turn. Means I probably should have played that white side so I could at least casting Demon Scar. Yeah. Oh my god, where's my 4th land, please? If this doesn't die, we might be able to cast Return to the Ranks next turn. Right. Manifest Dread. Doesn't matter, we just need Dread Wayward Serpent. exiles that. Yep, okay, that's why they kept it in their deck. Oh, thank God. We could -3. I think we want to wait until we can, like... Because ideally we -3 and then... Jesus Christ. Ideally we can, like, cast Return to the Ranks in -3 and try to get something else. Okay, never mind. It should stay. Undead Augur. I need something game. I need a Plains or... I think how many lands they have. They might just... Oh, you can't be serious. Think they'll block that? Okay, we draw a card off that. That's a tap land. I'm going to change this out for the one that is untapped if you control more lands. I think it's fun. Maybe I'll check it out though. Yeah, that's probably a GG. I might need to edit this next land base. But stick out my deal. I think I'll stop there for tonight. But first, do I not have a more isolated chapel? Isolated. Okay, of course. So I don't know. Maybe I'll just leave it for now. Well, I mean, surely we couldn't. Or white black, white black. Tap tap. A shadow snarl. Surely we put in like a Shattered Sanctum or something, right? We'll put in one Shattered Sanctum. Nice. Very interesting right here, Starforge. The brilliant. So I think that's it for today. Tomorrow I'll probably stream something else. I probably gotta finish Persona 4 or something, but I don't know how many people watch Persona 4. I don't think I'm entertaining enough of my own just sit there while I'm playing a game, but people find it relaxing. That's fair enough. I probably will make a meme out of the hits 11 times per second. Well, actually, I should probably just send it to hold on. I'll probably send my idea to someone real quick because I think it's a really funny idea. Where did... There you are. Okay. I'm gonna stop for now. I'm gonna go play Rivals. I would stream my Rivals if my computer could handle it, but it could not. So that's all for me for today. Thank you everyone for joining you personally for a little bit. Thank you for your conversations about Magic the Gathering lore. I'll probably give the new Arena Championships a look because I'll probably give me some deck ideas. I do need some new deck ideas, and it's probably a good place to look.